Ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to be here with you today, and thank you very much for a very warm reception. It is indeed a great honor to be the chief guest of such an event, and such a significant platform which has progressively championed one of the most critical aspects as far as the development of the link between industry and academia. And it's for the same reasons that we see that as a nation, the time has come to see how we can actually play this more advanced role and promote this link between industry and academia. For obvious reasons, we know that, to start with, that the effective exploitation of knowledge as well as technology transfer and innovation has a significant contribution towards competitiveness and towards the growth of our economic prosperity, and thereby promoting our social development too, social prosperity too. There's, of course, the issue with respect to what we're doing today. What I view at this initiative is more than a conference. It's a platform of interaction with our local research and distinguished research capability, but also our link to global partners who are with us today to promote science, technology, and innovation, and promote research and development. And it's this platform that signifies quite a bit of development. And since this morning, I've heard of various aspects as far as knowledge flows, which included joint industry research, public-private sector partnerships, technology diffusion, and human capital mobility. These are some of the key concepts and key structures that we need to embody as a nation going forward. We've made tremendous strides to date. We look at some of the progress that we made on at a national scale. We see today that we have an effective link between the private sector, which consists of 12 million people, businesses, and 200 associations, and the government, the various organs of state, the legislative assembly, the devolved government, the executive, the judiciary. And this link is primarily being created to promote an enrichment and involvement as far as policy, legislation, and regulation is concerned. While this initiative has been ongoing for many decades, it really came into fruition in 2004 when various associations and structures came together to play a more significant role in trying to find ways in which we can create the fabric as far as policy, legislation, and regulation is concerned for the nation, and to promote that shared link between the private sector and various organs of state. But throughout time, we've seen that, and as rightly mentioned earlier on by Professor Gandhi, that industry itself has stagnated, and the current status of industry, while there's tremendous opportunity, which includes various markets today, particularly Kenya is positioned to play a significant role as far as its internal markets, which are growing greater capacity, greater requirements as far as specifications and quality. But then we see that there's a phenomenal market emerging as far as our regional presence, or regional markets, how Kenya plays a significant role in terms of manufacturing and services space. And also, in addition to these two markets, is a huge desire for the country to embark on historically some of the largest infrastructure projects, which include the Standard Gauge Railway and various projects like LAPSET, the energy projects, and all of these have a significant requirement as far as the innovation, research, technology transfer, and capability. And these are some of the areas that we consistently need to position ourselves as a community that is determined to see how we can collectively express ourselves more as far as our research capability, our education, our capacity to provide solutions in the market. Industry, however, has challenges. You see that on one side it has a phenomenal potential and it's a very strong base. I speak for industry as a member of the Business Competitive Services unit of the Association of Manufacturers. CAM, as you know, is one of the largest associations in this country, housing 800 established industries, which represent 3,000 manufacturing units. And as you're aware, that industry spans extensively through so many different sectors, which include mining, processing of our natural resources, agriculture, food processing, general manufacturing, and the emerging areas, which consist of oil and gas. And as was mentioned earlier on, the stagnation, I fully agree, is due to a lack of innovation, a lack of the ability for us to have an organized and structured way for process and product improvement, which would enhance productivity, efficiency, flexibility within the manufacturing sector. It's not that innovation doesn't take place, and that the link between industry and academia does not exist. Individually, there have been cases of lecturers and researchers playing a direct role. And we've seen that the existing capacity of industry consists of being able to research and innovate based on incremental capacity and based on a survival approach to innovation. But what we have in this room, as both global partners as well as one of the most distinguished universities in engineering in this country, is an organized approach and a structured approach to research. And this is evident from this document here, which highlights the relevance as far as industry needs. So quite wide is a gap between what we have in this room and a link between what industry needs. It's something that we all need to really work towards. Almost an avenue, a bridge, a structure which promotes this link. With all the dynamism within industry and the productive sector and the aspirations, currently our manufacturing base is at 11% of our GDP, but when you include agriculture, it's around 25%. It has phenomenal potential, and the private sector itself is bent on seeing how it can actually grow. And so there's a demand within industry to see how effective structured approach towards innovation and research can be part of the development of industry. There are, of course, other challenges industry faces, and the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, through the BCS Committee, has established 7 pillars that we need to focus on as a nation. But in many senses, all this is part of your involvement. It's not only the practical applied research within a factory environment, but it's also the ecosystem where you can deliberate on and promote policy research, as well as find a way in which you can play a significant role in terms of legislation, policies, and the general strategy of development. The first pillar, which includes an obvious capacity as far as securing an environment for manufacturing, which includes every aspect from the policy stability, the taxation, the streamlining of functions of trade and industry within the government. Fighting corruption is one of the key concerns of the private sector. The second is to see how we can expand into our local markets, expanding into the East African community markets, and expand into external markets. These 3 visionary opportunities for industrial growth. They're all dependent on how we're able to research our position, promote significant contribution as far as our capability and capacity, And this is directly related to many of these key capacities that we've researched on today. One of the other pillars consists of securing infrastructure. We know that is a big challenge as far as energy, and not only the quality as well as the quantity of energy is concerned, the aspects of water, clean water, industrialization, the aspects of transport and infrastructure, the aspects of land and locations of industry. Another area, the fourth pillar, consists of constitutional gains, the elimination of double taxation, facilitation of inter-county trade through harmonized country revenue laws. The fifth pillar consists of securing justice within a judicial system which is awake and conditioned to commercial realities in terms of efficiency. The faster resolution of commercial disputes is an issue too for industry. The sixth pillar consists of security, the aspects of crime, prevention, structured approach towards addressing these capacities. And the seventh pillar consists of promoting small and medium enterprises. We can all imagine that the private sector is effectively linked to these three markets, the East African community, further international markets, the local markets. And what needs to happen is that over time we've deepened the relationship as far as their involvement in the market. The best and most strategic way for us to engage markets is through existing industries. Because the markets are established, there are various factors which are in place, like trust, confidence, capacity to mitigate risks, and so on. And in joining ourselves with technology transfer organizations or promoting research capacity through these organizations would then enable us to more efficiently try out our research and apply our research as far as products and processes are concerned. And so this is really one of the most strategic steps forward that we need to be cognizant of. Yes, we can build incubators and build outright innovations. This country has intrinsic innovation capacity, this diversity of people who come together with different ideas, embracing nature that we have as far as our international guests are concerned. And this in itself could create new products. But by far the biggest opportunity lies in working with existing networks, in promoting active links which go beyond the passive structure that we have to respect and regard for one another, but we're not able to trust and have the confidence to work with each other to provide a solution. The other aspect of CAM's advocacy is very clear as far as education and training and the promotion of innovation. And so having shared the 7 pillars and the 7 challenges between these industries and the growth and prosperity, both social and economic, this gives you a wide-based avenue to see that it's not only one particular part of industry that requires considerable research, but you're looking at the entire ecosystem, policy, legislation, the actual interaction of industry, the entire life chains of industry, the entire processes from manufacturing to marketing, production, and so on. And so this is the wide call for the incredible capacity that exists within yourselves in order to find ways in which we can provide the next generation of solutions. There's yet another opportunity that comes to my mind, and I'd like to share with you. In time and historically, we've seen that various opportunities come and demands are put on the private sector. Today, we're on the verge of addressing aspects of climate change, which have a huge impact in terms of the need for innovation. Statistics show that over $200 billion have been spent to date on renewable systems and energy systems. In Kenya itself, there's been a tremendous interest in seeing how we can promote better capacity, better management of our environment. energy systems, water purification systems. And this is an area where increasingly the entire society and key decision makers are realizing that there has to be an inherent link between the private sector and the environment, the private sector and climate change. But in order for this to happen, considerable research has to take place. And this has to be facilitated. And within this possible opportunity, there's a chance that centers of excellences will be created. Capacities could be re-engineered within your institution to address this. Because no one else seems to be doing this. This is an open opportunity for a university which has such a wider distinction and wide capability to lead the entire process as far as how the private sector can effectively be involved in climate change and promotion of not only our national ecosystem as far as deforestation as well, and our water is concerned, but see how the private sector itself can be innovated to take a leadership role and a promotion role in the area of promoting climate change and enhancing the environment. You may wonder and you may ask, so what exactly are the challenges between this link? How could we take what we have here today as key stakeholders? This indeed is a very rare event because we have the Vice Chancellor, all the key departments involved, we have a global community of researchers, we have our own indigenous distinguished academics who are here to share key research findings that we have embarked on. But how can we develop this further? How can we create this platform? Professor Ibuga and myself go back a long way as far as developing an envisioned dream of linking industry and academia. We know that the dream itself goes back to very eminent professors like Professor Kishaga, Professor Miranga, who had this idea, who had this dream that we needed to find a way in which we can link. And various initiatives have taken place since then, structures have been put in place. And now it's for us to see how we can play a role in these structures. And the structures and mechanics and frameworks that I'm talking about are the legislations. If you look to the current legislation on science, technology, innovation, it creates an open platform. Creates a platform of, first of all, addressing the key concerns of science, technology, innovation, which includes prioritization, coordination, access to finance, and the establishment of various agencies to be coordinated on the embodiment of key agencies like standards, quality assurance, economy. But what's remarkable then is an open space consisting of both vocational training universities, research institutions, and intermediate organizations to play a direct outcome role and impact towards the transformation of small and medium enterprises, multinationals, for the prosperity of this nation. And so with this new legislation, which links up to the Universities Act, there's a huge encouragement to link between industry and academia. But various actors have to play a role. We in this room have to mobilize ourselves. And one of the key things that I'd like to address today is one of the key aspects we're embarking on is to create a permanent working relation between the private sector and academia so that we can dialogue, create discourse on links. We can then find ways in which we can structurally engage on projects and initiatives, and finally we can bring accountability to one another as far as performance and output is concerned. And I'd like, as much as possible, to see how we can be involved in this initiative. It is an initiative that's come out in realization of the need that we need to do a lot more to promote and develop innovation and capability within the private sector. The challenges that we currently face within this sphere consist of connectivity between the core actors, the fragile connections in the national systems. The fact that the Kenyan national system of innovation has an asymmetric distribution of factor links, that there are certain imbalances in the direction as well as the output and relevance of all these actors and relationships, and the fact that there's significant latent factor barriers. Some of these have been mentioned earlier on. It could be that, on one hand, that our markets are unsophisticated, they're short-sighted, they are opportunistic. But then, having told you the opportunities that exist to date as far as the market expansion is concerned, these are issues of yesterday, and we need to find a way in which we can once again re-establish relationships. It's also true that a lot of capability has to be built within universities in order to effectively engage in a structured approach. While we have the research capacity, there are various interfaces that need to be created. For example, and to illustrate further, a monitoring and evaluation scheme to ensure that we're able to manage meetings and manage research progress collectively. A structured approach to creating contracts and MOUs to bring about greater links between industry and academia, and to create a flexible and meaningful structure in view of the dynamic nature of innovation. And so these are some of the challenges, and that is one of the reasons why we need to create this permanent working group and see how we can regularly engage and keep engaging and see to it that a lot more innovations take place. It's across tables between private sector and academia that we'll realize what the real issue is. Is it, for example, the lack of finances to research, to promote